You may have a tackle box full of bright and shiny lures that caught your eye in the fishing tackle store. They're not really fancy and it looks like another plastic worm, but the difference is Jersey rigs do catch fish. You'll see when inventor Jeff Camarino joins us right now when we go out in the open. Hey folks, welcome to this edition of Out in the Open. I'm Alex Zedok.
And I'm Joanne Zedok.
Coming to you from the legendary Tannersville Inn, the team we are. Every Tuesday evening, we're here at the legendary Tannersville Inn. Got a nice crowd tonight. We're inside a little bit, little threat of rain showers, so we decided, why chance it?
Right.
We'd stay inside.
We didn't want to shrink up. We got wet out there in the rain.
Absolutely, but otherwise we'd be out on the veranda. But there's plenty of summer left for the veranda. Hey, lots happening in our outdoors.
There sure is. There's some things we need to talk about. We should tell about some specials here at the Tannersville Inn, don't you think?
Oh, well, that's one of the things we should talk about.
Great seafood, and
seafood, yeah.
king crab leg.
Not just for great steaks, it's a great seafood place, too.
That's right. Not just seafood and eat it. I mean, really, like king crab legs.
Oh, delicious crab legs.
Prime
and,
rib,
all those
beautiful
kinds of
steaks,
things.
New
So
York strips,
come on
the best.
down and see us and have dinner with us. You know, we're here Tuesday. We have to talk a little bit about CWD.
Yes,
chronic
we do.
wasting disease and the deer, basically, and how bad it is when there are too many deer, particularly in your backyard, and you're feeding them. I mean, that's when the deer get diseases.
It's really a problem because what happens when you feed them, and it's particularly we see this in community, you get big groups of deer, and then when they're together, they're not getting good nutrition, and consequently get more diseases. Plus, they bring those diseases to you. Yes, they're fun to look at, and yes, they're cute, but I mean, I'm not just talking about deer, I'm talking about raccoons and skunk and fox, coyote,
everything
and
comes when you
bear,
feed them.
and
Turkeys, they
everybody.
all, if you ever saw a turkey up close, I mean really up close, and held one in your hands, like, maybe after you harvest it, and you watch all those fleas and ticks and everything else falling off of them, you really don't want to bring all that into your yard. Same thing with the deer.
Exactly.
I mean, they're just loaded at this time of the year, and you're feeding them, and you're bringing them in there with your kids, if you have any, or grandchildren.
Or
That's a good thing to do.
As an adult walking out there, if you've got long pants on, I mean, they get on your pant legs. You're bringing them in your house. So,
That's right.
your
Or get on
job's
your skin
worse.
and whatever else.
Absolutely. So you need to let the deer and the animals feed themselves. If you want to see them, put on some camel with a little blaze extra and go for a walk. We've got a lot of state game lands, and we have a lot of national forests.
Absolutely.
Go for a walk and see them in their environment.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got to tell you about the Father's Day contest coming up. Of course, get your entry in. We got fishing on Lake Wallenpaupack with Bill Albright and me. That's one of the prizes. Another prize is a rod and reel from Pop Sport Spot. We've got a whole tackle box full of Jersey rigs from Jeff Camarino. We've got lunch at Earhart's Restaurant. We've got dinner here that night when they're on the show at the legendary Tannersville.
You get to be here on the show.
We got so many things, but you can't enter. Can't play, can't win if you don't play. So you've got to play. Get your name, get your postcard in, or come on, get it by email. Everything's on the screen that you need to know. And we'll have a great time.
You will have, like every year, you always have a great time with the Father's Day contest.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun. Don't miss it.
We've got Jeff Camarino on with us tonight, and we're going to talk about Jersey rigs and show you just how effective these little wormy buggers are right after we get right back. Stay tuned.
Out in the Open is brought to you by Pocono Mountain Vacation Bureau, the original Walker's Game Ear,
Hey folks, welcome back. Of course, this is Out in the Open. I'm Alex Zedok, and my guest is Jeff Camarino. Actually, Jeff is a Deputy Waterway Conservation Officer for the state of Pennsylvania, but we're not here to talk about the waterways and the byways and the laws and all those kinds of things. We're going to get into that just a little bit because I know how much you enjoy it. But you're actually the inventor of this thing called Jersey rigs, and we're going to talk about those in a little while too. Jeff, how did you start fishing?
Well, my 8th grade teacher, Mr. DeGisi, asked who wants to go fishing. I'm going on a fishing trip to Shepherd's Lake in New Jersey, and I was the only one that raised my hand. So he ended up taking me, and we went to this nice little lake, and that was it. I was hooked right from that point on.
You were hooked, the fish were hooked, and you've been fishing ever since.
Yeah, well, I don't think I did that well that day, but it was fun though.
Now, you do a lot of things. As I mentioned, you're a Deputy Waterway Conservation Officer up in the Pike,
Southern Wayne
area.
Pike.
So you do a little bit of Wallenpaupack and
Correct.
up in that area. You live up in the Holly area. And actually, you've been fishing a long time, but you have another life too as a fine guitar player.
Yeah, I played guitar since I was 8 or 9 years old, and had a nice career going for a while. And then what happened was, well, I would play guitar at night, and during the day I would fish. And about 25 years ago, I was on a lake, and I was observing some fish coming into shoreline, and they were hitting bugs that were going like this, like a butterfly larva or a dragonfly larva. So I tried to emulate that.
Okay.
And after many years of making my own prototypes, I decided, maybe it's time to do something with this.
Now, some people think a plastic worm's a plastic worm is a plastic worm, but basically it took you a few years to develop the right kind of a lure.
Yeah, it was rough. It took two to 3 years because we were looking for a specific size with a specific hook, a specific fall rate, and something that would not snap off as soon as you cast it, because the second you cast it, you V the worm out, and it would have a tendency to break.
Yes.
So we had to use special polymer, special diameters. Oh, it was very expensive. And finally, we hit on the right size, the right diameter. So we have it down now.
Okay, and so that's after a lot of molds and those kinds of things that you had to build and go through and throw away and
Yes.
try and build and go. That gets expensive.
Yeah, they were a few $1,000s per mold. I think we went through 2 or 3 of them. And you can, like I said before, you can only make a mold bigger. You cannot make it smaller, so the mold becomes useless. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, there are a lot of people in the lure business, and some people with tons and tons and tons of money go national, and I know you're national, but I mean, they've got all this marketing money and everything else, and they can sell all this, but you got to keep a day job. And I want to talk a little bit more about your playing. You've played with some pretty impressive groups.
Yeah, the last major set of musicians I played with were members of the Four Seasons, the Frankie Valley Four Seasons, the Critters, Tommy James, and the Shondell